Hey, good morning, everybody. Today is the 9th of November, 2025. Let's go ahead and knock out this broad market analysis. But before we do so, go ahead and hit that like button. I really appreciate your support on this beautiful Sunday. And saying that, let's get right into the market watch. So this week, we are starting off Monday, November the 10th. You guys can see nothing is scheduled on Tuesday, Veterans Day holiday. To all the veterans out there, thank you. And for active duty, again, thank you so much for your service. As you know, I was a 21-year in the Air Force. I am a veteran myself, so props go out to all my military serving folks out there. On 1025, we have Fed Governor. We have a couple speakers, I guess, still on this date. And then on Wednesday, we have New York Fed President. Basically, I'm not going to go through this, just a lot of people speaking, okay? And as a reminder, this is really, really important. Subject to delay due to government shutdown. So not available due to government shutdown. A lot of this information is not available at the moment, and hopefully we get some kind of resolve really, really soon. All right, on Thursday, initial jobless claims, consumer price index, CPI, Fed heads speaking, and then moving down into Friday, we have U.S. retail sales, core PPI, and then ending it with a couple people speaking. The next thing that I want to be looking at is going to be earnings season. On this calendar, look, it's robust, but I really don't have much skin in the game for any of these names. I'm not interested in many at all. But as you all know, I love giving levels and trading into earnings. These are just not my favorites. But if there's something that you like, make sure that you bring it up in the room and I'll be happy to take a look. Okay. The next thing that I want to be looking at is the bigger picture. And that's going to be on SPY using the quarterly chart. The quarterly chart is beautiful. Listen, this is how I run my portfolio. It really doesn't have to be really difficult. As long as we're staying above the chart or above the 9 EMA here or coming into the 9 EMA, I'm a buyer until proven otherwise. But we will find zones, use a little bit of Fibonacci magic and all that fun stuff. But the bigger picture, just look at the cloud. It's been working since 2011. No reason to be too concerned, except for the fact that we have a little bit of diversion here. Now, please understand that the diversion doesn't have to happen like this. Sometimes it does, and that's actually a little bit more fun. It's when things slow down and trickle down that the market gets really difficult. It's the big flushes that I personally like, and just know that it doesn't have to flush hard. There's a lot of different scenarios that can happen. What I do want you to take away from here is after hitting the 2025 projection, we did pull back a little bit, and that's what's supposed to happen at the zones that I give you to the upside, okay? So looking at this, not much to talk about. I would be concerned, not concerned, I should say, sideways to down until proven otherwise. If we go under 666, other than that, guys, let's just continue to ride the trend to the upside. The next chart that I want to show you is going to be the weekly, which is a lot of what we depend on from a week-to-week basis using this broad market analysis. Last week, I specifically said that my favorite place to get long was the green zone, and that's exactly what we did. We waited. The week was pretty boring, pretty slow. It felt like a lot of things just wouldn't get going, and then finally it all kind of paid off by the end of Friday. We came into that zone. We get a really nice push, but listen, it's not on the bulls side yet. And what I mean by that is, yes, the green zone worked, but unfortunately, we still have to get above the golden Fibonacci level, which in this case, we're going to round this up to 679. So above 679, I would say at least for 3 days or a weekly close above there, I'll feel better about the bulls pushing up towards the all-time high. But until we can get above there, we'll just leave this week's blueprint at saying the green zone is a buy zone for me. And then we are not on the bull side until we get above 679. If for some reason we start to dig a little bit deeper, let's just go ahead and throw our quadrants on this zone. And what I mean is, if we take out the low, then your next target would be 659, 656, but I am still looking for this green zone to hold, okay? All right, so that is the SPY Weekly. Let's go ahead and now take a look at the Qs, and we'll be looking at the bigger picture on the Qs as well. Again, guys, the quarterly candles are a very, very important part of what I do, and I'd highly encourage you guys to put them on your charts. So on the Qs, let's go ahead and take a look here. You guys will see we have the same thing. We came down into the green zone. We popped out of there, and this 613 is going to serve as like your over under. This is the 38.2 or the bearish channel of the move down. It's not until the Qs can get up and over 622, let's just call it 623, that I start to feel better for the bulls. But for right now, same thing. It's a buying opportunity at the green zone, which we took advantage of. We actually, I think we're close to 100% on our QQQ calls. We trimmed some of those on Friday and we bought those out for quite a few days. So we still have a lot of time. But I will tell you a little bit later on in this video that we did close right around resistance. Okay, so bomb, 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 right? No, I don't know. We'll see how we open up tonight, okay? But let's go ahead and throw some quadrants on that as well, guys. If we come down, you could see we came down 50% of the zone. If we were to take out that low, you could see 594 all the way down to 590. Let's go ahead and move on now into our next portion of this broad market analysis, and that is going to be the dollar. So the way that we do that here in Thinkorswim is you go ahead and put the dollar sign, then DXY. I choose to use this ICE, and on a weekly, this is all I'm going to leave you with are these notes. It's an inside candle this past week. Above the neutral and the cloud, take caution. When the dollar starts to move high, we can see a little bit of, I guess, volatility to down into the market. So again, be careful. Have a neutral level there. Basically, if you're in between here, just be very, very flexible. Now, it's not much better to the downside. So even if the dollar starts to break down, we have support right around this area. Okay. And if the dollar's coming in to support, then I'm looking for it to bounce, which means again, the market could get a little volatile and be a little bit more sideways to down as well. So not in the best position here. I would prefer to see the dollar under 98.2, but for right now, just know that these conditions are saying, hey, a little bit of caution. The next thing that I want to look at is the TNX, but we'll look at it very quickly because it's not really doing much. These are the two major zones we've been talking for a very long time now. My overall estimate or my analysis was saying that we would move down into the green zone. We got really close there in March, and then we came very close in October, and we're still underneath the cloud, and I think we could still come down to here. But again, no big updates unless we're to break above this red zone or we get into that green zone. Okay. Let's go ahead and move this out of the way as well. And the next thing I'm going to look at is my next favorite thing. They're all my favorite things, is the skew. And the skew is really, really important to my overall analysis during this broad market. And the reason why is because you can use this to adjust your portfolio. If the skew is high, I'm looking to put on insurance. If the skew is low, I'm looking to put on some risk. Okay. Now we got very close to this level, a little bit closer than normal, but we got into the green zones on the ES, the NASDAQ, SPY, QQQ, so I went ahead and took this trade and benefited from it. We jumped into some SPX calls on Friday. I closed them before the close. And then I also bought the 100 wide butterflies in SPX for the end of the year. So I'm neutral coming into this week, far as the SPX is concerned, but on the Qs I'm long, and then I got a couple like small debit spreads to the downside on the put side, just in case, because we close in this resistance if for some reason we were to gap down. Okay, but the skew right now is telling me, that again there's a little bit of fear, or I wouldn't say fear. It's almost like fear is coming off a little bit because fear's been at that level for quite some time now. And when everybody's scared, they're basically on the put side, and if they're not on the put side, they're kind of sitting on their hands. And in this case, I will tell you that for me, I was taking advantage of that on Friday. Okay. So skew right now is really just be flexible. That's really the theme of this week. A lot of things are just telling me we could go either way. It's looking like we could see more fear in the market by looking at this candle, but for right now, and that could be because we're opening up in that resistance. I'll show you that here shortly. Okay. All right, so moving on from the skew, like I said, we could look at the fear and greed index. Is at 21. Yep, it's at extreme fear. Kind of getting used to this. I just look at this as this is the opportunity for news agents, talking heads to like put fear out into the market. This is where they, tell you to keep buying. There's that extreme euphoria. And in here, things just kind of slow down. We did tick up a little bit from where we were on Friday, and that was probably from that nice little relief bounce that we had on Friday. But you guys see where we're at, all right? It's November. Everybody's scared. Going to lead you right into Thanksgiving talking about the stock market at the table. So all your relatives can look at you like you're crazy. They're just going to look at you and go, I just play the long game. Anyways, that is the skew. The next thing we're going to take a look at right here is going to be the ES futures. And as I always say, please reach out to your broker if you're interested in trading futures, man. I love them. We do it for at least 30 to 45 minutes every single morning here in the Trendy Room. They are a big part of what we do. We could trade the SPY off of this, the SPX. These blueprints really, really rock it, and I love it. And I know that, hundreds of you guys love this as well. So down here on the ES future, same thing as a SPY. I was looking to be a buyer down here. You can see that worked out. Same thing, guys. Bulls are not in charge unless we get above that 618, which is around 68.40. Of course, that's around a round number, 68.50. We'll talk about it if we get above there. But for now, it's a buying opportunity. If we have price discovery, if we take out the low, you're looking for 66.28. 65.86 and possibly 65.43. But at each one of these quadrants, I do expect some sort of relief bounce. So please, please understand that. Your bearish golden profit, 6,800 by 68.40. I really like this level because it's got the whole number in there, or the round number, as you will. 6,800 by 68.50 is a resistance level going into this week. Okay. All right, so the next time frame is going to be the daily. This is where we have our triggers. These are not blind triggers. Make sure if you're a member here in the room, if we get to the level, you have a question, please ask me. There's a specific way that we enter at these levels, but they are levels that work very well. So our resistance, 6804, short trigger, 6878, buy triggers, 6687, and then we have some more down here to the downside. Let's go ahead and move on. We're going to get into the 4-hour. What I want you to concentrate on here is going to be this trendy edge. Go ahead and jot those down. If we're up towards this, high on the curve, this is where I'm, either selling call credit spreads, getting into some puts, or just bringing my stops up on my longs. The part where I told you where we closed into resistance, we have structure here, we have a cloud here, so this is why I'm saying that. But on the ES side, we actually closed very strong into resistance, so there's not any wicks or anything like that here, which says that, who knows, we might actually even pop up into tonight's open, but, we still have several hours to find out. Down here, the easiest way to look at my zones, everyone, is this is where I'm looking to buy, this is where I'm looking to sell or bring up stops on long positions, okay? Let's go ahead and move on. We're going to go into the NASDAQ futures. And same thing, we're going to start over here with the our weekly right here. We came into the zone, we popped up. A lot of this looks familiar after looking at the ES futures. We have a bearish golden profit level of 25,561 by 25,770. This area is a very big level for this week. It's not until we get above the 618 that I feel good for the bulls. And this is your over under going into the NASDAQ futures, 25,366. And again, still a buying opportunity as long as we are coming back into the green zone. Use your quadrant tool, go from the 618 here down into the lower end. Matter of fact, it needs to be about right there. And these would be the levels. You could see that below the lows, I'd be looking at buyers at 24,650 or 24,405. Let's go ahead and move on into the daily. Same thing, triggers. Go ahead and pause this screen. Take a second, hit the like button, show that support. I really appreciate you. All right, now that you've done that, let's go ahead and look at the resistance at 25,550. Short trigger, it's a little bit higher on this range than the ES futures, and that's because a lot of times the NASDAQ is a lot more volatile, and so I'm giving it a little bit more space to do its course, okay? But I am lining up with structure and Fibonacci's. Let's go ahead and move on to the 4-hour. Same thing, we have this beautiful level down here, which is the trendy edge that identifies buying zones. And then we have a trendy edge up here that identifies selling zones. But I will tell you that just like the ES futures, it closed really strong, but it is getting very close to resistance via the cloud and a couple smaller daily edges that are right here. So if we pop up, just look for this to kind of be your over under, if you will, for tonight's session, this little level right here, okay? Bullish above there, we could move into this gray zone. If we were to come back to the gray zone down here, I'm looking to buy. All right, pretty straightforward stuff here. Next thing that I'd like to end this with is going to be the Bitcoin futures. A lot of talk out there about bearishness. After hitting where Bitcoin hit, I feel like this is just digestion. But it did pull back a little bit more than digestion. It came all the way back if we take the 3 quarters, and here it came back into the golden profit. So this is a really big level for this week. One, the golden profit is amazing. We do so many awesome trades off of this. This is usually where, things can feel bearish and then they pop right back up and you're like, holy moly, what just happened? If you try to go short or something like that, you get your face ripped off. But in this case, I can also side with the bears a little bit, and I'll talk about that here on the smaller time frame. So before we move on, though, again, golden profit holding the 9 EMA. If you understand how 9 EMAs move, if this were to continue rallying, this is going to push this up. I'm going to tell you right now, if this gets pushed up in here and we're not breaking down lows, this is going to be a springboard for us to come right back up to the highs. If we do break down below 94.8, then I'm looking for a move down towards the 9 EMA and possibly even this green box around 75. Now let's get over into the daily so you can see what's going on here. This is a really clean chart for you guys this week. I'm going to tell you your big focus should be the lows and this area right here. This is the bearish golden profit level. So we are anchoring our Fibonacci's from here to here. We got some trendy turn signals here. We're very close to a zone that I was looking for, but really if I would have just put my line here underneath that big candle, then this makes sense that we bounce. But like the ES and the NASDAQ futures, it's quite interesting how all of them close at resistance, right? This is your 200 SMA, which is resistance when you're under it. We close right there. If we are to gap up, you're going to gap up right into the cloud. So again, resistance above us, support below us going into this week. I'm keeping my fingers crossed this is not another choppy week that ends the week, strong or something like that. But who knows with the holiday, this week, it's definitely possible. Same thing though. Bulls, if we can get above 116.5, I think the Bears need to hang it up and we probably hit all-time highs. But this is an area or potential area to go short if we were to pop up into here for this week. Now, if we pop up into here going into Friday, then we'll talk about it. But again, let me end with this. This is the biggest levels looking at your 200 SMA, the bearish golden profit, and this green zone right here. Those are your big levels going into this week. I hope you guys enjoyed this very quick and seamless, I hope, broad market analysis. Go ahead and hit that like button. We'll see you in the room tomorrow, 90 minutes before the open. Be ready. Let's make some money this week. Can't wait to see you. Bye.